what percentage of men do you swipe right on when you're on a dating app?
It used to be really like low. Probably out of every like 10 men, maybe I'd swipe on like 1 to 2.
I'd say like 5%.
So that's really low, right? Like that's my point.
It's
And those are just the guys that are on dating apps that are actually making an effort to download and, like make contact and put themselves out there. The vast majority of guys are mostly invisible to you ladies. So, right. Like you don't even see them because they don't meet your qualifications. What would you say to those guys? What advice do you have for them?
I think, are we talking about on like dating sites, like swiping?
No, just in general, because I think men in general want to be in a relationship with a woman. I mean, that's why we're here. We're not here to build skyscrapers and roads and computers and do podcasts and stuff. Like we're here to connect with the opposite sex and generally speaking, have children, form a family sort of thing. So I think that's what guys are mostly looking for. And they're making the effort by going on dating apps. So what would you say to the guys that are mostly invisible to you, that are like the 90-95% that you don't swipe right on, that don't even get the opportunity to talk to you?
The number of people per 100 that are swiped by men and women now, at least, is roughly the same.
But the vast majority of men never get a match on a dating app, right? They get really frustrated with it. It doesn't allow any sort of connection. They have a very, very difficult time. And most women on dating apps are fighting for the top probably 15 to 20% of men, probably 10%. If you're only swiping right on those guys that you like the good looking guys, which are based generally on the first photograph, you generally don't swipe right on their bio or any of those other things. It's like, what does the first photograph look like? Quick swipe, good, right? Most guys will swipe right on a whole bunch of stuff and they'll never get matches. So the amount of swiping that happens is probably pretty similar, but the amount of matches that men experience is very, very low. It's right in the basement. It's not even close to women.
And it's a swamp. It's a swamp for women and a desert for men.
Yeah. So to that point, like a very average looking woman, like a 4 or 5 can get hundreds of matches within days. Whereas like an 8, that's a guy, will struggle to get like 25 matches.
What would you say to those 95th percentile men, or the people that are not getting attention from women? Because what you're seeing in being pushed in the mainstream is anything but a push for positive masculinity. It's, you need to shrink so women can become more. You need to, place women on the pedestal. They need to be making more money than you. They need to be more educated than you. You need to sit down and be quiet. Straight white men, you've had your time. It's time for you to sit down and be quiet. And anytime I ask a woman what she's looking for in a man, it's never a guy that just sits in the corner and allows me to do whatever I want and agrees with everything I say and never challenges me on anything. So I think what we're doing is having a really important conversation around what's actually being pushed in the mainstream and everywhere you look, where it's never been a less positive thing to be a man in today's society. And I think that's what's contributing to a lot of these guys that are failing to meet expectations of women. And this isn't complaining. This is just kind of the way I see it. A lot of guys out there just can't catch a break. A lot of guys are being raised by single mothers, or they're being raised in households with plugged in blue-pilled fathers, and they're growing up and everything they see on TV and reading the news is about how they're a villain just by nature of being born. And then they're listening to advice on how to get women, and it's basically be a worse version of a woman and you'll get women, and it's clearly not happening. So I think the question is, what do you say to these men?
I feel like they should be honest with the female. I said that a guy should be themselves.
Just be yourself.
I think it's important to, be yourself, great, whatever, but what do you have to provide? Not just for yourself, but for others. I'm not just talking about for a woman. Like, what do you have to provide to society? Are you willing to help? Are you willing to help anyone in general? Because any guy that I've ever really dated, he has been really big in helping his society, helping nonprofits, very big in providing for not just me, but older women, single women, helping I just think it's important to be a man that wants to provide for other people and stand up for your community, show yourself, just be a fucking man.
I think Jessica was on the right track about the honesty. However, I feel like they need to be honest with themselves. So step back and say, okay, the dating apps aren't working, but I do want a woman. So what else can I do? Should I start going to bars? Should I start approaching them in person, show off confidence? Should I maybe take a year off for yourself or, so I think you were definitely on the right track, and just, it's time to be like, okay, this isn't working, now what?
If we're speaking specifically about dating app, I think that actually men don't present themselves as well as they could on dating apps. And I think that if they understood how to present themselves better online, they would get more swipes, because what my experience is that there is a gap between generally when I see a guy's profile online and meet him in person, and I'm generally pleased when I meet him in person and I feel like, oh, your profile didn't reflect that and it could use improvement. And I think that that would help. I would say, first of all, like be in the best like shape that you can be in, like be in good health, like having a healthy body, keep up with your grooming. Like if you're going to have a beard, trim it, groom it, go to the gym, go for a run, do these things to, you know, just be your best self externally. When it comes to your photos, get your photos taken, get good photos. They should be updated. They should be nice quality, not blurry. Pay attention to what you're wearing, like present yourself well. And in your prompts, don't be generic, like really think about them and be thoughtful. There's just a lot of things that you can do, but the photos are like usually the hot mess, and men are not making themselves look as attractive or desirable as they are in real life, in my opinion. So they should focus on that.
You know, she's disqualified men because they've had debt, right? And she's telling, you know, guys that are struggling with dating apps, you know, just have good photographs. And having good photographs is definitely going to get you more matches because you have to get your foot in the door. You have to get their attention somehow. I also heard just be yourself. I heard, you know, a few other, pieces and points of advice, which are pretty typical that women generally give guys. And, you know, the reason why I ask you ladies these points is because men really, really struggle with dating, right? And they don't know what, like, you know, to Amber's point over here, you know, she's talking about two guys that she really likes that she's dating that she thinks are top shelf men, but Tristan Tate DMs her overnight. She's going to be on a plane to Romania right away. And these guys will be ghosted, right? So it's like, you know, when we have conversations with guys, you know, when Moff and I talk, it's around the topic of developing yourself into the best man that you can possibly be. The reason why a large, competent man that is built like a fighter with lots of money, has good style, is able to get Amber to drop the two guys that she's dating right now to go with him is because of all of those things. So it goes beyond just having a good photograph. It goes well beyond just be yourself is usually like the advice that moms give their sons is just be yourself and the right girl will come along sort of thing. And that it's shit because that's what a lot of guys will do now. They'll just be like, well, myself is working $30,000 a year job, coming home, smashing a frozen pizza in the oven and getting stoned and playing video games for 17 hours and, you know, watching stream or Twitch or Fortnite or something, right? Like that's a lot of guys' angle for just being themselves today. And that's not enough. It's never enough, right? Like you guys have already shown us that it's not enough because you've disqualified men for quite a few reasons that don't meet minimum standards. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.